By now, 1,374 Allied aircraft have dropped 6,000 tons of bombs on Normandy. A key target is the hometown of Andre Heinz and his family. Call Normandy, 4 p.m. In the confusion of a shattered city, Andre Heinz desperately tries to find his sister, a nurse at the hospital.
I went to see my sister, who was in the operating theater, and she was almost trembling because she said, some bombs have fallen on the hospital. Oh, she said, well, we must do something. Look, the operating sheets are red with blood. We'll take 4 of them. Some were not really completely red, so we dipped them in the pails of previous operations, full of blood, those pails were. And we took those 4 sheets, and as we were going to stretch the 4th side of that big red cross, a plane came out again of the clouds, and we looked at one another, thinking, shall we run away or finish the job? But we decided to finish the job, and we had the surprise to see the plane rocking its wings. We realized it was a reconnaissance plane, and the pilot wanted to show us that he had taken notice of the Red Cross, and indeed, they respected the place.
So effective has the Allies' strategy been, and so skilled their deception plan, that many German troops, even those capable of turning back the advance, have been caught off guard. Those that are able put up a magnificent defense throughout D-Day, as the Allied soldiers know to their cost. But others never even receive the order to move. The German chain of command has let them down. Nantes, France, 5 p.m.
Vielen Dank, auf Wiederhören.
Walter Schwender, too, has been let down by his commander, though he doesn't know it yet. For now, he has been reassigned to a switchboard and is unaware of the magnitude of what's happening to the north.
An alle Lieben.
Dear all, as I am on telephone duty today, and therefore have a lot of time, I want to write a few lines to you again. Everything here is completely fine. We have heard that the English have apparently landed in the night up on the Channel coast. We are likely to hear more about that in the next few days. But they will be beaten back straight away. They certainly won't have anything to smile about. For today, lots of love to you all. Walter.
Normandy, France, 5:30 p.m. The River Meuse is a tree-lined ribbon of water winding its way through the Normandy countryside. Glenn Dicken and 2 comrades follow its course, picking their way inland. They have been sent on a reconnaissance mission, seeking out hidden enemy positions. Their target is the village of Fontaine-Henri, a few miles to the south. Like thousands of other invasion troops starting to fan out through occupied France, the horrors of the beach landings now give way to the dangers of enemy terrain. Lieutenant Glenn Dicken, Major Frank Peters, and Rifleman Alan Kennedy have no idea they are about to go into battle. It is still Tuesday, June 6, 1944. It is 7 p.m. With 2 comrades, Glenn Dicken of the Regina Rifles approaches the church of Fontaine-Henri, inland from the Normandy beaches. They cannot know that that peaceful church tower is in the firing line between the beach and the inland defenses. They approach the church. They can turn either way. To the right, the cemetery. To the left, more ancient graves. The 3 Canadians turn left onto the flagstones beneath the church tower. What happens next is recalled in a letter written to Glenn Dicken's mother by Graham Jameson, the regimental chaplain.
Dear Mrs. Dicken, I hope that Glenn has mentioned his padre in his letters home, so that you may feel to some extent at least you know me. For my expression of sympathy is a very personal one, knowing Glenn as I have done ever since he joined the regiment overseas. With Major Peters and Rifleman Kennedy, he went on the evening of the 6th of June to the top of a hill next to a church to spy out the enemy positions in that particular area. Within a few minutes of their arrival, they were heavily shelled by enemy artillery. Small comfort though it be, I can assure you that Glenn could not have suffered. He was killed instantly. When I went to find him the following morning, I am at a loss for words to convey what I want to. All three were completely covered with flowers. The French civilians, overjoyed to see our Army of Liberation, had expressed their feelings by lavishing flowers on the first to fall in their little village. I am enclosing a small piece of the French tricolor ribbon, used to tie the sheaf of flowers on the grave. I ask their permission to send it to you. May God bless you all, and all Glenn's family and friends. Please convey my sympathy to them all. Very sincerely, Graham M. Jameson.
At Sainte-Mère-Église, the 82nd Airborne is still under fire. Bill Tucker is lucky to be alive.
By now, things are really humming. There's firefighting all around us. German prisoners are being brought in, and they all seem very proud or arrogant. It now seems apparent to all of us that we're surrounded.
Sainte-Mère-Église, 9 p.m.
There's an outhouse or shack about 15 yards to my left, and someone is crawling around the side of it. It certainly is a German.
I looked to the left, and I saw this guy crawling, and it seemed to me that I could see the outline of his helmet, but it wasn't one of our guys.
And then he comes out in front of it and keeps crawling towards me. I raise my carbine, pull the trigger, the bolt goes halfway forward and stops. It's completely clogged up. This gives me an instant of terror. And while I'm working on the bolt, I guess the German hears and takes off.
From then on, I never would use a magazine-fed gun. I got rid of it and swapped it for a rifle. So much for the German to get away.
As the day draws to a close, against all odds, the Stars and Stripes still flies over Sainte-Mère-Église. German resistance has been tougher than anyone anticipated, but the American paratroopers have held out.
So how did I feel? I felt worn out, apprehensive as to what was going on at the beach and what our next job was. Yeah, I always was apprehensive about the next job.
Although nowhere have the Allies penetrated more than 10 miles inland, the Normandy front stretches for 50 miles and is secure. More than 150,000 men are safely ashore at a cost of 10,000 casualties, only half the number that Churchill had feared.
I thank God for having survived. And on the day of the liberation, which was the most beautiful day of my life, thought of all my friends who had not that luck and who were still in concentration camp or who had been shot during the German occupation.
When dawn breaks on June the 7th, D-Day +1, another huge and irresistible wave of invading troops will come ashore on the Normandy beaches, beginning the push to Berlin. In England, Juan Pujol continues his deception efforts, helping to convince the Germans that another Allied invasion will land in Calais. Across the North Sea, nearly 400,000 German soldiers are kept out of action as they wait in Norway till the end of the war for an invasion that never arrives. For 6 weeks after D-Day, Sonia D'Artois and Sidney Hudson carried out numerous sabotage missions against German telephone lines and cables. Only half of Bill Tucker's comrades made it home, among the highest percentage of casualties of all American units. Today, he still lives in his hometown of Boston, Massachusetts, but he's known and loved in St. Mary-Église.
Thank you very much.
Walter Schwinder continued to write blithe letters home until he was killed, later in 1944 when fighting in France. Cliff Morris lives in Lansing, England. This is the first time his D-Day diary has been made public. Andre Heinz still lives in the same street in Caen. His crystal radio set is now a museum piece. James Stagg became president of the Royal Meteorological Society. He died in 1975. Admiral Sir Bertram Ramsay was killed before the war ended in an aircraft accident in France. Juan Pujol was honored by becoming a member of the British Empire in 1944, having already been awarded the Iron Cross by Germany for his supposedly reliable intelligence reports. He died in Venezuela in 1988. Glenn Dickens' body was buried in the Canadian War Cemetery in Calvados, France. In his family, every firstborn son is named Glenn. It would take 11 months after D-Day, cost hundreds of thousands more lives, before the war in Europe was finally over. But D-Day is remembered as the first step on the long road to Berlin and victory.
Ten riveting films, 10 award-winning filmmakers, one unprecedented event. 10 days that unexpectedly changed America. Tonight at 9, 8 Central, only on the History Channel.
That he had taken notice of the Red Cross, and indeed, they respected the place.
So effective has the Allies' strategy been, and so skilled their deception plan, that many German troops, even those capable of turning back the advance, have been caught off guard. Those that are able put up a magnificent defense throughout D-Day, as the Allied soldiers know to their cost. But others never even receive the order to move. The German chain of command has let them down.
Ich stelle Sie durch.
Nantes, France, 5 p.m.
Vielen Dank, auf Wiederhören.
Walter Schwender, too, has been let down by his commander, though he doesn't know it yet. For now, he has been reassigned to a switchboard and is unaware of the magnitude.
We took those 4 sheets, and as we were going to stretch the 4th side of that big red cross, a plane came out again of the clouds, and we looked at one another, thinking, shall we run away or finish the job? But we decided to finish the job, and we had the surprise to see the plane rocking its wings. We realized it was a reconnaissance plane, and the pilot wanted to show us to see my sister, who was in the operating theater, and she was almost trembling because she said, some bombs have fallen on the hospital. Oh, she said, well, we must do something. Look, the operating sheets are red with blood. We'll take 4 of them. Some were not really completely red, so we dipped them in the pails of previous operations, full of blood, those pails were. And
by now, 1,374 Allied aircraft have dropped 6,000 tons of bombs on Normandy. A key target is the hometown of Andre Heinz and his family. Call, Normandy, 4 p.m. In the confusion of a shattered city, Andre Heinz desperately tries to find his sister, a nurse at the hospital.
I went